Desde APLA creemos que generar espacios de debate es generar transformación. Te invitamos a nuestro primer encuentro virtual de sostenibilidad.
I'm delighted to be able to introduce my three co-panelists. It's great when we were looking at resilience that APLA have pulled from different areas of supply chains. We have senior experts from producers and from companies that I know have been leading the advancement in safe and resilient supply chains over the decades. We have someone from part of the ecosystem, which is supporting the growth of the region, and myself, who's an expert in digital transformation in the supply chain. To introduce them properly, Renato Lantin is Supply Chain Director at BASF. He's been in the chemical industry for over 25 years and in BASF for almost 20. He has had many roles across the Americas in supply chain and sales. And as part of the Latin American management team, he works to leverage their customer success with great data-driven performance and with continuous digital improvement. Then we've got Luciano Guacci, who's the LLA Integrated Supply Chain Director at Dow for packaging and specialty plastics, hydrocarbons and feedstocks. He is responsible for overall integrated supply chain business performance and end-to-end order-to-cash work processes and systems. He's been with Dow for over 10 years, and he brings his deep continuous improvement background into the supply chain space, ensuring customer delight through data-driven, customer-centric teams, being responsible for customer services as well as supply chain fulfillment. Then we have Matheus Dolecki, who's port representative Latin America for the Port of Antwerp. For almost 20 years, he has worked in various roles across the supply chain ecosystems for companies like Maersk and Hamburg Süd, as well as for other ports. He is helping all industry segments, not only chemicals, to understand how ecosystem partners like the Port of Antwerp can support the on-time and full needs of their customers. Having sat on panels with people from Dow, BASF and Port of Antwerp over the years, I know that we will help the APLA community with valuable insights in these interesting times. So I would like to sort of ask a few questions to the panel. The first question is almost sort of the obvious one, and I'm going to pick on Luciano with it. We're talking about resilient supply chains, and as someone who's responsible for customer services, are you hearing this as a request from our customers? Are you seeing a change in language caused by the current situations and the way that they talk to us around supply chains?
So I do see a change in the relevance that this topic is taking while having interactions with customers. While in the past, most of the conversations with customers were mainly focused on service and maybe the associated cost. Now we are having more discussions on reliability, alternative means to supply, and resilience of our logistics network. And I can mention some key topics here, at least for this industry that we are playing in a global market. I think that having the right local inventory in key locations along the distribution network, at least in Latin America, has become an asset that is more valued for our customers, and also alternative sourcing in a global network of supply is also something that increase the reliability of us producers, suppliers of the. So I think those are key metrics right now. I perceive the name of the game is changing, and developing alternative designs to serve our customers should be a priority, a top priority, I would say, for us in supply chain. It's about being prepared for the unexpected, develop alternative supply chains before suffering a disruption. And I think it's important to stress out that it should be designed and developed before a big disruption, because by the time of the disruption, you are only able to allocate volume on alternative means, but you previously developed them. No time to design in the middle of the pandemic suffered, or we are suffering, or in the middle of a huge storm as we experienced a couple of months ago in the Gulf Coast. So I think that it's key for us as professionals of supply chain.
Thanks for that. And Renato, I guess you're seeing the same thing, but we also know BASF is a company that is pushing to digitally transform the way that it supports its customers. Are you able to use the tools and the data and the systems you've got in place to create this resilience for your customers?
Hi, Simon. Hi, my colleagues as well. Definitely, I do agree with Luciano, and the pressure to information is a key right now to our customers. And in this place, digitalizations come along. I can give you two examples that we've been working very strong. We launched a customer portal to our customers. Why we need to launch a customer portal? Because they want the information at the same time. It's driven by them. And also, it is a powerful and agile self-service platform to improve the customer experience and leverage their results. We've got some positive NPS feedback from our customers, and our main target is how the digitalization can enlighten our customers' experience as well, and use those data driven based on what he's looking at the platform in order to support it even better for the new developments in the system. Another good example for chemical customer samples is a key enabler for business growth. We have launched a sample app to our commercial salespeople or any request in order to enable our growth of our business. Speed and quality impact direct customer satisfaction. And also, when we're talking about samples in general, is the first impression with BASF, and you must need to do it in the right way, in faster and quality results. We have developed this app to make it simple to request, faster to deliver, and provide better information to our customers. And also, we could improve our time to deliver the samples because the information flows much better. Just so you have an idea, we could reduce over 50% of our lead time with agile information within the organization. So, in my opinion, digitalization is key in the future in a relationship with our customers and inside our industry as well.
Perfect. And Matheus, I mean, I know Port of Antwerp well, obviously sort of operating in the European arena, and I know that you're very strong digitally. I can remember seeing presentations from the Next Port guys, who are the team who sort of provide APIs and things like that for the Port of Antwerp. But really, supply chains are only as strong as the ecosystem that supports them. The Port of Antwerp is a very key part of the European ecosystem. But how are you helping your Latin American customers get the most from a global port like the Port of Antwerp?
Hello, Simon, Luciano, Renato. Good day to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank APLA and ICIS for the invitation and say that it is a pleasure for me to participate in this panel today on behalf of Port of Antwerp. Simon, let me, before answering your question, I would like to say briefly that the Port of Antwerp is the largest, you have mentioned this, largest integrated chemical cluster in Europe and the second largest in the world, just behind Port of Houston in the US. So needless to say that the chemical and petrochemical industries are of fundamental importance in the operations and economic activities of the Port of Antwerp. We are more than glad to have Dow and many other big companies operating our port, as well as being the site of the second largest BASF production plant in the world. Just to give you an idea, more than 25% of the 12 million TEUs handled by the port last year is related to chemical products and polymers. And thanks to this sector of the economy, the Port of Antwerp has managed to limit its volume losses in 2020. Also, thanks to the chemical industry, the cargo volume handled in the first half of 2021 increased to 5% if compared to the same period of last year, reaching again the figures of 2019, which means that the entire port platform and the port community has proven to be very resilient in these difficult pandemic times and remain 100% operational all this period. I'm saying all of that, perhaps for for those who don't know very well Port of Antwerp. So I think it's a good introduction and link it to the chemical industry in our port. Going back to your question and considering the essential roles, because nowadays we are living a disruption in many aspects, digitally, environmentally. So I'm going to put a bit of a perspective of a port authority. So the essential roles we play as port authority that keeps our port operational. We are the landlord, regulator, and operator. We operate tugboats, locks, and bridges in the port area. So speaking from this perspective, especially in a rapid changing world, and considering that the Port of Antwerp is Belgium's largest economic engine, we have to look at for the basics. We understand it is strategical to develop and maintain a port infrastructure that not only meets the needs of our customers and keep our port competitive, but also allows the port platform to grow in a sustainable way, ensuring prosperity for current and future generations. I would say that given our great responsibility and the relevant economic, social, and environmental influence and impact we cause in our society, we have the ambition to be a world port that reconciles people, climate, and economy by 2050. We say we want to be the port of the future. It means that we want to be a safe, climate neutral, innovative, and technological port. We believe these are some of the key elements to be or to build resilience for the future. To give you two examples of what we are doing in that sense, I would like to mention the merge with the port of Zeebrugge, announced beginning of this year. This is still under the process and subject to Belgian competition authorities approval, but the expectation is to have it finalized still this year and start 2022 as a unified port. The idea is to combine the strength of both ports, exploring their complementarity. For example, Antwerp is located inland, Zeebrugge is on the coast. Antwerp is specialized in container handling, break bulk, and chemical products, while Zeebrugge is a major port for rural traffic and transshipment of LNG. We also believe the port of Antwerp-Bruges, its new name, will take up a leading position as an import hub for green hydrogen, contributing to the transition towards a low-carbon port. As you mentioned, another thing I would like to mention about is our data utility platform. It's called NextPort. They are a subsidiary of the Antwerp Port Authority. This platform unlocks the potential of sharing existing data amongst the port players, bringing more transparency, efficiency, and safety in the whole shipping process. The platform also enables innovative companies or startups to build applications upon the existing data, allowing the creation of new and innovative solutions. And a proof of that is the new liquid bulk project called Chronoport, which is being developed by the company Port Plus in collaboration with the liquid bulk community in Antwerp. BASF, Oil Tanking, Vopak, Borealis are among the collaborators. And then just to conclude, I think it's worth saying that the Antwerp Port Authority has a trade facilitation department, which is also important. As the name says, besides facilitating international trade through our port, it also helps companies develop new custom solutions and simplified procedures.
Thank you for that. And you touched on safety, and we know that obviously safety is the most important thing for the chemical industry, but it comes sort of closely aligned with the people. And in the pandemic and in the current situation, I know that there's lots of stress that have been put on them, and keeping the workforce going and keeping everybody sort of ticking over to make sure that they're sort of serving your customers. So I'm probably going to ask all of you the same question in that sort of how have you supported your staff during the pandemic? I'm sure your teams have done amazing things to keep customers well served, but do you have any examples which the Appler community can build on? Actually, can I start with you with that one, Renato? What have you been doing to help your team over the last 18 months or so?
So that's a very good question. And Simon, we are learning about how to deal with this difficult time during the pandemic, right? I guess it's not the only one-time solution. In the beginning of the pandemic, we have to learn how to work full-time remote and also assisting the people that still needed to go to the bank and dealing with this insecurity to going out to keep delivering our products. But over the time, what we have done and what I've been doing is to be very close to my team and understand their needs. And if I look in the beginning of the pandemic and right now, the situation is a little bit different because over now, I guess, is the mental health is a key priority because the people are staying at home so long. The pressure in the chain has been increased, and we have to deal with keep delivering our products, to keep attending our customer, and also taking care about ourselves. One point is really important as well is how to drive this our leaders and our team in order to understand their pressure and take some time off or supporting the people during this time. Also, I'd like to give some examples that I keep doing my business travel virtually and also visiting my customer virtually. I have not stopped doing that to my people in the countries and to my customers, that knowing that even if I'm working from home, I'm still closer to them and doing virtual happy hours, virtual dinners and so on. Only in 2021, I have done 35 customers virtual visit. I send a coffee to the customers. They can take a coffee together and talk about their challenges, talk about our challenge, and how we can enhance our collaboration in order to have a good customer success. So I'm not sure it's the end of the pandemic time, but definitely we'll have a different model to interact with our people, our society, and our customers.
And Luciano, I saw you nodding your head there. And one of the things that I love, having worked in the chemical industry for 30 years, is you
Yeah.
always feel that it is a community. And because we often buy and sell from each other, that we all end up operating in very similar ways. How have you worked and what's been going on with your teams over the period?
In fact, it's pretty aligned with the previous comments. Maybe I can add an example here. I do have in my team 3 people that I never saw face to face. They completed the whole selection process, onboarding, training, and they are performing activities without having a single face to face contact with myself or with nobody in the company. So it's pretty funny. One of them actually working in Brazil actually was in Argentina by the time of the selection process and the onboarding, and she was able to get into the company, receive a computer, start working from another country. That was simply unexpected, and in the past was something like a dream. but it's working. And maybe my last comment is that the focus right now is fully on well-being. So I think the challenge that we have is how to cope with the new working environment for such a long period of time, how to avoid long working days, how to manage meetings, how to deal with the stress. That is something that we are working a lot right now with support from several functions within the company and outside the company, because this is a new environment that we need to deal for actually more than a year right now, and it will continue the same. Our offices in Latin America will not get back to operation until at least next year. And we know that it's not going to be as in the past. So this is a new normal, and we have to deal with that.
And I guess for Matheus, for yourself, you've seen different things, because I know that we were lucky in Europe, and I guess it was the same for Latin America, that actually chemical transporters were classified as critical. So they were allowed to move and things were allowed to sort of go from the early days. But we did hear stories of, the rest stops on the way, and some of the way that drivers were managed across the process wasn't as great as it could be. So probably the first time they saw a human face was when they hit the port of Antwerp. So I'm guessing that you're dealing with things and you're looking at things differently. And again, I'm sure that what you've seen in Belgium replicates into Latin America, and you can help in those places.
Simon, I'm going to start speaking about myself. Being a rep, it's in be part of an organization as Port of Antwerp is a proof that we already practiced this even before the pandemic. I'm sitting in Santos, Brazil, and I have all access to the system, company system. Everything is possible to do remotely. So internally in the administrative staff, in the white collars staff, the remote work was possible since from day one. All the IT infrastructures company was set to allow remote work. So in a sense, the things worked well. And as you said, the port was considered an essential asset for the supply chain. So fortunately, the port didn't stop during the pandemic. Of course, we adopted all the safety measures, social distance, the ones very stressed during the pandemic. So fortunately, the port showed yourself very resilient, the port community as well. And another important thing, it's related to resilience and collaboration. Perhaps you're going to talk about it later. Since the pretty beginning, the Antwerp Port Authority and the port community set a COVID-19 task force with different stakeholders, or practically all stakeholders in the port. They were sitting together to discuss what was going on and immediately communicate to the port, to the customers, to the suppliers, including Dutch authorities, because you probably know this river Scheldt, which gives access to our port, starts in Dutch territory. So part of this task force included Dutch authorities. So this helped a lot to make us succeed during the pandemic. And unfortunately, as I'm living here in Brazil, few details of the day-to-day I'm not possible to share with you. But in terms of the work, it was totally possible to be done remotely during the pandemic.
That sounds great. And again, it's kind of interesting of that sort of collaboration between, the countries, and I really sort of believe that sort of the Latin America chemical industry has got an opportunity to rebound strongly from the current situation, particularly as the countries across the whole continent can kind of work together. But Renato, what infrastructure and support would you look for to accelerate that growth? What help would you like? What would you think you would need to really kickstart the growth after the pandemic?
That's a good question, Simon. So Latin America is very well known for lack of infrastructure, correct? So, but before talking about how to improve the infrastructure, I would like to touch, even with the lack of infrastructure, we are very bureaucratic countries as well. So what we've been doing as a chemical sector with the Abiquim here in South America, how to deal with the government in order to take out some bureaucracy in order to speed up the process. In the beginning of the pandemic, the Brazilian government asked the chemical companies which could be digitalization, which digitalization could be doing in order to speed up the process. And also, an important measure coming from the Treasury Minister, what was the key milestone that increasing our cost, inefficiency costs among the chain. So we have been working very close with the sector in order to start improving those relations. And I can show you some examples, especially the Santos port, the bulk terminal used to have 21, 30, 25 waiting days to the vessel deliver the products. Right now we are in the 2-3 days in the lineup. And what they did change, also they start regulating more the port, Santos port, in order to have efficiency. We have presented to the government some comparison between Santos port and Northeast ports, and show that our main port in Brazil was so inefficient based on not having some regulatory rules or even complying their own regulatory. So, and this has been improving and has increased our capacity, our productivity. But also we have done a study which infrastructure we have to improve, especially in Brazil, in order to support the chemical industry, in order to be more efficient and reliable chain. And definitely needs investment in the port, especially in the port and Santos port, and they do have the plan, and also in the roads to be access to the port, because even if they only improve the port area, we will struggle in the roads to access the port. So with the chamber, we have done a very nice study and present to the government and to the authorities in order to overcome the barriers that we are facing in the logistic chain in Brazil.
And Luciano, I love the fact that Renato was mentioning really about the data. And it's one of the things which I always think is brilliant about supply chain, that we don't just ask for something, we normally ask for it with sort of the slides of the data, because we're such a data-rich part of the business. And one of the things which I see us doing as well is not only looking at our peers across the chemical industry, and you always think of sort of BASF and Dow as two of the sort of the peers at the pinnacle of the chemical industry, but we've got the opportunity at looking at other sectors as well. And there's always that classic, you know, chemicals goes into 95% of other industries. So we do have the opportunity to talk to CPG and automotive and other sectors. Sure. Is there anyone that you look at, Luciano, and you sort of say, well, actually, you know, I wish I was like that company, or the way that they're doing things is really strong and I would love to build on that? Is there anything that you can kind of help the Appler community with from that perspective?
I think first of all, I would like to make a comment regarding the some point that Renato mentioned on bureaucracy. I think we do have an opportunity right now to keep going in the direction of trying to make our operations more paperless, to use more electronic documents. Some of the rules that we see as a conquer in the pandemic with the authorities were set as emergency rules. I think we do have an opportunities for some of them to stay in the future as a reduction of bureaucracy and keep going in the same direction to try to be more electronic, less paper, and expedite processes. I think that that's an opportunity for most of the countries in Latin America. But going back to the question of examples of resilience and what I like in this topic is to make a parallel with the internet network that we all use every day. And I think that the internet network is so reliable, so resilient due to the fact that it's connected. Each node is connected with another with more than one single line. So it's about connecting the dots, not in a linear way, but in a multiple way. So that to me is key. And in our industry, working with our customers, what I saw through the pandemic is that we really expedite all the projects that we had in terms of connections among different nodes of the network. Just to talk about the demand visibility and process of new orders, we moved from, let's say, 10 or 12% of the orders that are coming to our company through digital means to 25. And we do have an expectation to go to up to 50% of the orders coming through digital channels in 2 years. And that before the pandemic was a plan for 10 plus years. And so we will see that we have an opportunity to expedite any digital solution to connect the dots. That would be my my comparison.
Yeah, no, that's great. And actually, I laugh because I can remember a gentleman called Gustavo Velazzo, working with him probably 15 years ago to hit some of those targets for the number and the percentage of automated orders going through the industry. And particularly when I saw when it got very high executive level, you have to do this. It could happen. I can remember some great examples from Covestro where 10, 15 years ago, the head of supply chain in North America basically sat down and went through all of his orders and said, this one can't, this one can't, this one can, and trying to kind of get rid of all of the noise in the background, that, you know, the lead times and the fact they weren't communicating with the carriers and all of these things, to then say, you know, can I get not only a digital order, but a fully digital process? And once that was driven, and I remember talking to the guys out of Leverkusen, and they were getting to sort of 60, 70% of their orders being automated because they'd had such a focus on it over the years. And it was from that internal working, but equally that collaborating with all the people on the ecosystem, the customers that they were talking to about it, but the logistics service providers and the ports and the other steps and the freight forwarders. And that kind of feeling of collaboration, I mean, you touched on it earlier, Matheus, but I really sort of think that it's where some of the glue in the network, some of the glue in the nodes, the ports, the logistics service providers, the freight forwarders, they can really kind of help collaborating, because you're often sitting between us as producers and the end customers. And so what's your thoughts on collaboration and maybe what we could do better or what we're doing well already?
Simon, I'm going to bring some comments regarding what we do and how we see collaboration in the port community of Antwerp. So I would start answering your question by saying that for several years now, besides performing the basic roles as of a port authority, which I mentioned before, the Antwerp Port Authority also acts as a community builder, which for some years now has become the main role of our company. This idea started after the financial crisis in 2008, where in such an adverse scenario, you realize that you won't be able to continue alone, for example. You need partnerships, you need collaboration to move forward and become more resilient. Because being really prepared and foreseeing crises like that, the one happened in 2008, is very difficult. So to say in short, what community builder means is reaching out local community, the forwarders, the terminals, the shipping lines, the transportation company, but also the world. And by enthusing and inspiring companies to come up with ideas and jointly develop them. And with COVID-19, this vision has only proven through, and it has helped us to tackle all the challenges we face and those that lie ahead to enable us to become the port of the future. One of our goal. So we believe collaboration is more than key to build resilience and to persevere in this complex world full of uncertainties. But more than belief, as community builder, we engage ourselves with different actors and business front runners in order to initiate and implement concrete solutions that facilitate and accelerate the digital transition, the path for innovation, and to a circular and low carbon economy. Once we are talking about port, which has a important contribution in the CO2 emissions. I could give you many examples of local, regional, or international initiatives, coalitions, or consortiums we are part of, and where we put into practice our community building role. The example I'm going to give you is more about energy transition and the environment. So I will only briefly mention, I'm talking about the consortium Antwerp at Sea, which made up of eight companies, Air Liquide, BASF, including Borealis, ExxonMobil, Ineos, Fluxys, Total, and Port of Antwerp itself. This is a study to investigate the technical and economic feasibility of building a CO2 infrastructure at the Port of Antwerp. The goal is to enable the capture and reuse or storage of CO2 in the reasonably short term and at a bearable cost. The chemical cluster in Antwerp, as I said, is really important for us. So this is one of the example. In terms of digital transition, as you already mentioned, Next Report is a collaboration between different entities. And also we participate in the Beacon, which is a joint initiative from City of Antwerp, the University of Antwerp, IMEC, and Agoria. And the aim of it is to become and to find technical and technological solutions for the port and logistic operations. So this is a bit of how we see and collaborate with our customers, suppliers, and all the other stakeholders.
That's excellent. Thanks for that, Matheus. I think we're going to have to wrap this up, and I thank all of the panelists. I mean, I think what we've seen is that when we talk about resilient supply chain, it can often sort of think about, the physical elements of it, are there the right tanks in the right place? Is there the right assets? Is the right supply movement there? But actually, it is the people, and it's the bureaucracy, and it's the digital movement of data around it all, which you get the benefits as well as the physical assets. And what I loved was that thought that actually coming out from the pandemic is our people will be stronger, but equally we're going to learn and gain things from this. We will be more digitally transformed. We will be in a place where we know that those process improvements will be embedded. So when we do that sort of slightly glib new normal, we're going to come out stronger. Actually, I feel we are. I think that we've embedded things and we put things in place to allow for that. And I've always thought, having lived through things like the financial crisis of 2008, I always laughed that the week that Lehman Brothers went bust was the same week that BASF bought Cognis for cash. And that, for me, is the chemical industry. We always have that long-term view. We've always got that ability to manage the situation and come out of it stronger. And so I think that our customers and the way that we serve them is going to be enhanced. And it will help us reach some of the net zero goals and some of the sustainability goals and some of the circularity, because I think our houses will be much stronger after what's going on. So again, I thank all of you. I think it's been a great conversation. I thank APLA, and I look forward to talking to you guys again over the years, and next year definitely on another panel like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon and Apla. It's a pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.